Well, good evening. This is Hound Dog Steve coming to you on the 22nd of December. And just a short little video here, or maybe it won't be so short, but I'm going to play you a clip which I ran across actually recently again, and it just reminded me of the impact that it had on me when I watched it. And when I first saw it, I will admit that it was a little shocking. It is definitely in your face, and it's presented in the way only an American knows how to present. And please, I say that with all respect. I think that is a great quality of Americans, is that they tell it as it is, and they don't mind telling you to your face what they think. And I think this is actually a very endearing quality. But I think when I watched this video, and I've seen it several times, and really thought about what this chap is saying about liberty, that it motivated me to, rather than just be a passive observer of politics, but to actually get involved in what is going on around me, especially when I see things that are not working and that aren't going to play out well in the long run. And a couple of reasons for that. One of them is because when I think of the bloodshed in the past that our fathers and mothers, brothers and sisters have shed on our behalf for the sake of democracy, or for the sake of some kind of rule of law, some kind of order that we can all agree upon and live under, really just speaking up is not a lot of sacrifice. You know, as far as I know, I'm not going to be lined up against a wall and shot or dragged off somewhere for stating my point of view, and that's what my parents fought for. My grandparents, my great-grandparents. The Magna Carta, the blood that has been shed protecting and moving that notion of rights to the Declaration of Independence, when it finally trickled down to individual rights. This is sacred, and when I see that being taken away from us, when I see unelected officials trying to steal that right from us, and let's face it, you know, when you think about it, just think about this for a second, okay? Who pays all the bills? If we weren't paying our taxes, would there be a government? Or would it be a bunch of community committees that took care of local business, that worked on a volunteer basis? Because as far as I can see, governments have no income except that of taxation, tolling, permits and licenses. They don't create anything except work for the bureaucracies to manage, poorly in fact, because we spend an awful lot of money. In the case of City of Quarter Lakes, for example, a full 73% of all taxes collected are spent on the bureaucracy that runs it. I mean, no wonder you can't fix potholes when there's only 30% left. Anyway, I'm digressing here, so I'm going to play you this video first, and then I'm going to come back, because I think it's more important. I know it's not easy to get people to go to the end of a longer video, because I want to flesh some of this out and unpack it. And so I'm going to go over to this clip, and because I would rather you watch that than anything else. So here we go.
Let me give you a little commentary on the Holocaust. The Holocaust is generally deemed to be the worst travesty in human history. 5 or 6 million Jews. I don't know what the actual count was, but it was a lot of people. They did a genocide. They tried to wipe out an entire race. Hitler did not take Germany by force. He did not drive in with army tanks. Hitler was elected. Anybody have any idea what the vote count was? What his percentage of the total was? 98% in Austria-Hungary. That's just about everybody. Everybody voted for Hitler because he was going to solve all their economic problems. Did Hitler get elected on Monday and start throwing people into ovens on Friday? No. It was a gradual process. The first thing that Hitler did was start to write newspaper articles. Everything that was going wrong was the Jews' fault. They're the ones that caused all these problems. Did the Jews write their own newspaper articles and go, I disagree? Well, not that I can think of. I've never read any newspaper articles that, contradicted any of that. So then the Jews had to wear the Star of David so that we can tell who you are. Did they say, no, that's a violation of my privacy. I don't have to tell you whether, I'm Jewish or not. No, the Jews decided, well, it's a religious symbol. We love God. We should be proud to wear the Star of David. Eventually, the Germans came in and they broke all of the windows in all of the Jewish businesses in one weekend. Saturday night was known as Kristallnacht, which is German for Night of Glass. You couldn't walk up and down the sidewalks because they were filled with glass. Did the Jews rise up and say, now, damn it, you're violating my property. You shouldn't do that? No. Gosh, we don't want to make the Germans any madder than they already are. We want to just kind of go along to get along. Don't piss them off. They've got guns. Eventually, the Germans are loading them up into cattle trailers on the train. Where do you think you're going? On vacation? Where do you think they're going to take you? Well, now you're cold and naked and they're walking you into the ovens where you're going to go to mass execution. Is it time now to raise your hand and say, I tend to disagree with all of this? Bang! You're dead. It's too late to complain. You should have complained at the beginning when you at least had a chance. My question to you, and I don't expect you to answer it, just think about it in your head. How bad do things have to get before you do something? Do they have to take away all your property? Do they have to license every activity that you want to engage in? Do they have to be throwing you on cattle cars before you start to say, now wait a minute, I don't think this is a good idea? How long is it going to be before you finally resist and say, no, I will not comply? Period. That's a different answer for each person. Ask yourself now, because sooner or later you're going to come to that line, and when they cross it, what are you going to say? Well, okay, cross this line. Okay, now cross that line. Okay, now cross this line. And pretty soon you're in a corner. Sooner or later you've got to draw a line and stand your ground, whether anybody else does or not. That is what liberty is all about. If you think I am radical, let me share with you some thoughts from some of the founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson said, and this country with its institutions belong to the people who... Thomas Jefferson. And what country can preserve its liberties if its rulers are not warned from time to time that this people preserve the spirit of resistance? Let them take arms. The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants. Right? We're talking bloodshed if necessary. Abraham Lincoln. This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of their existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or their constitutional right to dismember or overthrow it. He also said, we the people are the rightful masters of Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. How do you know if the Constitution has been perverted if you haven't read it?
So that really does beg the question, where are you going to draw the line in the sand? When is enough encroachment enough? And that was the process I went through, and I've been going through that for about the last 10 years ago, I think I first saw that video. And it sort of combined with the Y2K thing, which I think was probably my big red pill moment. You know, we thought the world was coming to an end, and the hydro was going to go away, computers were going to, you know, melt into a big puddle, and so we started preparing for that. And the more that we looked into preparations and where we would need to prepare, the areas that we would need to prepare, the more we realized that the government is actually not prepared for very much at all. You know, that it's not until you start looking at how much the government is prepared for that you start to realize just how inadequate the whole thing is, and you really are going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. So that was the beginning of my really taking responsibility for myself, how I was going to survive under conditions like that, that I could heat, cook, that I had a garden that I could grow food in, that I had good communications with my neighbors, all of this kind of stuff. And then when I saw that video, it really kicked me into high gear about the importance of speaking up. Now, you know, his language is pretty strong, and I will agree that that's the case, but speaking up is really important, and that is what I'm really concerned about right now. Is I'm seeing a lot of people who are taking a lot of what we have for granted. Okay, and the rights that we have right now, the freedoms, the liberties that we have right now, were hard earned, and many people have died defending these rights and liberties. And as I say, you know, my life is not in threat here. You know, I'm sitting behind my camera in a nice warm house, talking to you, great people, about these issues. And if that's the least I have to do, or maybe, you know, sign a petition, or lobby the government, or as I have formed an organization called Citizens for Direct Democracy, that's really very little to ask compared to giving your life for these beliefs. And, you know, this is not a right-wing or a left-wing ideology. This is the basic platform for us all to live by in cooperation. I understand that there has to be regulation of some kind, because we're now seeing the result of unfettered capitalism. And, you know, the big corporations having knocked out just about most of the mom and pop stores. You know, there are a few niches here and there. They're now taking each other out, and we're seeing an incredible concentration of corporate wealth and corporate lobbying. You know, Google, Amazon, Facebook, YouTube, these people have incredibly strong voices with how the internet is governed and this kind of thing, and we need to learn how to speak out collectively about this, because it's something that we all need to have. It doesn't matter whether you're on the left or you're on the right, it doesn't matter. You need a rule of law, and you need a level playing field that you can go out there and you can do deals on a handshake if you have to, and know that handshake is going to be honored. Okay, well, that's my thoughts on liberty and rights and people's rights, and my responsibility to speak out about these issues in any way that I can without fear. Okay, so if you have enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe below. And once again, I thank all of you who've joined me on this journey, and I am so excited to be moving forward and to have this medium to be able to work through. So this is Hound Dog Steve signing off. I hope you have a great weekend, and we will talk to you very soon. And of course, Merry Christmas. You take care now. See ya.